Almost 3 months since we were last with you, the Premier League has since returned, and so have we. Welcome back to the Var Side Spurs Podcast. So, hello from me, Steve. Thanks for listening. We've plenty to talk about today, and this week I'm joined by Andy Creed. Andy, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Steve. Yeah, it's good to be back after all this time. Can't remember what I was doing before, actually. It's all like such a long time ago, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's practically 3 months to the day since we've done anything at all. It's just been, I don't know about you. It's been crazy. What have you been up to, like lockdown-wise? What have you been up to?
Well, like most people, I guess, do. Well, as you know, I work from home, so like most people, just hanging around the house, sitting in the garden. Fortunately, the weather's been quite good. Spending a lot of time with the family, which is good as well. I think a lot of people have said that, haven't they? And not really missing football, although I'm strangely getting excited about it now.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. It's weird that I don't feel that I haven't really missed football, given how much football I had, like football involvement that I had beforehand. I could be out every night, football related, if it be like watching, coaching, matches, going to Spurs, whatever. It just seemed to consume my life, and I don't know. I didn't really miss it, and it was weird watching people on Twitter and like on social media really sort of obsessing over football, still obsessing over things like transfers and this player and what that player was doing, and I just felt kind of like detached from it all. And like you, I mean, I'm lucky. Felt luckier than a lot of people, because work-wise, like you, I work from home, so it wasn't that much of a difference. But I do get out. I used to get out quite a lot, so feeling like I was confined to the house probably, was a struggle at times. But I had plenty of quality time with the family, so it's really, really good. No, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I built a couple of stadiums. I don't understand why Levy took so long.
I don't know. It's ridiculous, isn't it? And you didn't even need Stacey for that, did you? So
no, I didn't. I didn't need Stacey. I didn't overspend. I didn't overrun on my deadlines. I built strangely enough, I built the new stadium. Took me quicker to build than the old stadium. I managed to build the new stadium in a few hours.
Yeah, let's face it. That old stadium is cobbled together with all kinds of bits and bobs, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And weirdly, I don't know if it's just, I don't know. I kind of understand now why people get excited about the old stadium compared to the new one, because when you look in the model of the new stadium, it just brings back the nostalgia. Sorry, of the old stadium, it brings back the nostalgia of what the stadium was, and it does. It's only like it's a model, a replica stadium, but the buzz
it's good replica, isn't it? Yeah.
The buzz from that is totally different from the bowl. I don't know. So I think we need to create our own memories in that new stadium whenever we get to to return there. I think that'll make a big difference.
I think we've all realised, haven't we, that there's a way to go in the new stadium before it becomes anything as fond as White Hart Lane was, even though it's White Hart Lane.
I mean, we've got potential for that. I think, but that really depends on. I guess that depends on the fans. The fans' outlook and whether they kind of cling to what was the old stadium, what it represented, or whether they embrace the new stadium. We still see even now. You still see the odd poll on Twitter polls like new stadium or old stadium. So it's got to be the new stadium because there is no old stadium. The old stadium doesn't exist.
Yeah, and it's also apples and oranges at the moment, so you just can't compare.
Yeah, no, it's good. So I've been I watched. I don't know if you saw Lee. Lee Brown. he did some stuff on Twitter. He was playing some music and stuff, and that kind of inspired me to try and teach myself the piano.
Yeah. He's quite a guitarist, isn't he?
Yeah. So I think he threatened that we need to have like a redemption sing along. So I thought, not at the standard I'm at the moment. So I need to bring up my quality, quick, sharpish. So I've been trying to put in the hours when I can.
So what are you going to do? Bring your piano along to redemption?
No, I can get one of those little mini organs.
Oh, okay.
I only play one-handed anyway, so I don't really.
You're going to be wheeling it along like Laurel and Harvey.
No. It's one of those ones like, Alex Horn brings along when he does, like countdown and stuff like that. So just be a small one. Yeah.
Okay, good.
No,
sounds good.
Yeah. No, it's been good. I spent way too much money though. I don't know about you. I thought I'd be, you haven't been out, I haven't done anything, and I seem to spend more now than ever.
Yeah, I just realised actually over that whole period how much money you spend by going out and just doing stuff. Not necessarily anything particularly extravagant. You just spend money on petrol or this, that, and the other. Going to games, we all know going to games is fairly expensive. But yeah, it is. It really stacks up. So yeah, I had to kind of compensate by going onto Amazon probably every 20 minutes and buying something I don't need.
Amazon have got to be the massive winners out of this.
Without a doubt.
I know it's
Amazon's
you think it's not a nice thing obviously to say in any sort of circumstance, but I think I've become addicted to Amazon. I just just keep whenever you'd nothing to do, I'll just have a quick look on Amazon, and they're firing off emails at you left, right, and centre. Why didn't you have a look at this deal? Why didn't you have a look at that?
Yeah. I think it should be classified as a porn site actually, because it's it's just not good for people. or is it, however you look at it.
Well, yeah, it depends on your take on that, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Nice. So, we've obviously been no football, but in the meantime, there's still been a lot of Tottenham, in the news. Started off at the beginning. Started off with how they were handling the whole lockdown and furloughing the staff and all that. So, what were your thoughts on that? 'Cause I'm pretty sure, although it was Spurs related, and you're a passionate supporter of Spurs and Levy. You had your thoughts on that at the time.
I did, yeah. I thought, I quite like the way Levy does stuff and runs the club. I'm not an anti-Levy person, but I did think the furloughing was completely out of order. Not in the sense that furloughing itself was out of order, but it was the speed that they furloughed. It was almost like, here's an opportunity to furlough, let's furlough. And I didn't think that was quite right.
So did you not think he might have been he's the businessman, so probably protecting the interests of the club at the earliest opportunity, because I think if there hadn't been the public outcry that there was, he would have gone, straight into that, and he would have maintained that stance and just looked at it from a perspective that we're not getting any income in. And, if you look sort of 3 months down the line, I know obviously things are sort of tailing off now in terms of, numbers and people are still concerned, but numbers, you kind of think, well, football's come back really quickly, really. Across the board, and in other places it hasn't come back, and it's not even really football that's come back. It's just the Premier League that's come back.
The
Premier League and the Championship and the Championship. So it's definitely, and this is something that Lee Brown's sort of asked on Twitter is, why are we completing the season because it's safe to do so, and upholding sporting integrity, or are we doing it because of financial concerns?
You're totally right. Yeah, it's a really good question, because it's obviously about finance. Let's face it. And Premier League clubs have already said that, I think they've already lost a combined 300 million. for various reasons with the broadcasters. And if they didn't finish the season, I think they would have been owing even more. So that side of it needed to be resolved one way or another. But then you've also got the financial implications of relegation and promotion. So if they just decided the season on a points per game basis, they could have ended up relegating teams a bit like they have in League One and League Two. But the stakes were pretty much higher, I suppose, even though I still think the whole League One, League Two thing is partly admirable, and they were forced financially to do whatever they were doing anyway. So it is just all a little bit obscene as far as I'm concerned. As much as I feel quite hypocritical that I am excited that it's coming back, that's just because I'm a football fan and I want to see my team play. Yeah. But I don't like the reasons why it's coming back. And I also think that once we get into next season, I don't see it's actually going to change that much. And the Premier League are still going to try and continue. The Championship will as well, because they're all trying to get in the Premier League. And then you've got the League One and League Two who are furloughing their players, and the furloughs are going to expire soon. Yeah. They won't be able to afford to pay these players because they haven't got anybody coming through the gates.
Exactly.
So these clubs are going to go out of business, and you really have to worry about what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, and and they kind of the way that the football being brought back was packaged was that it was it's going to be a fillip like for the country. It's going to put raise everyone's mood, but surely that can only be for the teams that will be continuing to play, or the teams that will be. Where the focus is, because as you say, League One and League Two, that's not going to be the case. And
if you're a Tranmere fan at the moment, I bet you don't feel like that at all.
100%, exactly. So I don't know whether it's certainly not something like you. I'm pretty much like you. I was dead against it, totally against it. Uproar. I thought it was a bad decision, but I'm a football fan and I'm a Spurs fan, and I got the prospect of seeing Spurs play again, and I guess that kind of as we get closer to that kind of overrides my overall feeling, which is a bit
of course, after a couple of Spurs games, you're going to be quite happy that football doesn't come back at all, aren't you? Give it till about 10 o'clock on Friday night. You'll be wishing that hadn't.
I'll be back to resort back to default, where I think that it was a bad decision, and the government are arseholes for allowing it, and the Premier League for going along with it. So
exactly.
So we were talking about Spurs and furloughing, and like that was one of the things they were in the news for. But then we couldn't stay out of the news. As a club, we couldn't stay out of the news. We had Dele Alli in the news, Aurier in the news, Mourinho in the news with Aurier and all the other players for training on a common. I don't understand how he thought he'd get away with stuff like
that. That's right. One of the most decorated managers of all time, with other Premier League players in their training gear on a common. That's never going to show up, is it?
We'll blend in. No one will notice it. It's fine. No problems at all.
Yeah. Especially, I think the giveaway was the highlight of that was actually when Dembele was doing a bit of running. They thought, well, something's not quite right. Something's not. What's that over there? Yeah.
He's still got criticism for that. You'd think that people were like, well, fair play to him, fair play. And he was one of those people. I think he seems to take up everyone's attention, because he was like the one that was focused on when there were videos, and I think there was a social media video of him, and he sat there whilst everyone else is running, and the abuse that he got, fucking hell, he's not working hard. Look at that. He's going to be some fucking